Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome you guys to the channel. She was big. Oh, my bad. That's my baby Vanessa husband saying it to me. Nonetheless, gotta talk about this real quick. Because of course, if you guys are not reading the Dragon Ball Super manga, first of all, you should. But there's some things going on in that I have to talk about. So if you aren't reading it, peace out. If you are, I'm about to continue. And this is video is why Vegeta should be the person to defeat Moro. I think it's time. Granted, while I do feel like Moro is a threat. I do feel like Moro is a threat. I don't feel like he is of the caliber of villain as say someone is of maybe Jiren or a lot of the other villains we've seen, because he's the main villain right now, okay? But I don't feel the fear or I'm not too much worried about the hero just necessarily lose to him, because of course he's caught a few battles, but there's been nobody of substantial, you know what I'm saying, recognition, I guess I would say. But with that being said, I think you give this win to Vegeta, and it doesn't hurt Goku's character, and it also gives Vegeta the boost I think we all know he kind of like needs. Granted, not necessarily like strength wise, because I think for the longest now, I mean, I think at this point we can probably go back to where the time Vegeta kind of pretty much came like the second main character of the series. It's probably, I would say, maybe back in the Majin saga, okay? And yet the character is yet to get a like substantial win. And you know, and there's times where he's always had moments in every single arc. If we think about it, he's always had moments. But I feel like Toriyama has never pulled the trigger on letting Vegeta be the guy, and that's it's probably been one of my biggest issues with like Dragon Ball as a whole. Granted, Vegeta's my favorite character, so there's a bias there. But if we're just being honest, like, he's the second most popular character after Goku. You know what I'm saying? There are times where you go to a certain group of people, he's the most popular character. He's probably the most developed character in all the show, other than probably him and maybe Gohan. You know what I'm saying? People go back and forth there, but Gohan seems to like hit like a standstill, and Vegeta's character instead of getting developed more and more. And the reason I'm saying he should probably be the person to defeat Moro, it's not necessarily more or less what's going on now. It's just basically what's going on, what's happening in this series as a whole. If you think about it, and you just think about this just in general, Vegeta's first intro, it was great. Everything about the Saiyan saga, I think, was great. And then let's say we go on to the Frieza saga and we think about what happened with the character. He gets beat up by the Ginyu Force. He's getting humiliated. Then he just gets stronger. He's tested by Frieza. That doesn't turn out well for him. He cries to Goku, confessing everything that's going to happen with Goku. Then he's killed. Boom, he's killed then. Then he cries to become Super Saiyan. Becomes Super Saiyan, is able to defeat Android 19, I think it was Android 19, fat guy. Yeah, Android 19, boom, he's able to do that. Doesn't really matter too much because the actual androids come through, Android 18 come through, and boom, we get the iconic arm broken. So there's, every time they're able to give the character of Vegeta a substantial like showcasing immediately after that he's hit with something. We can continue to go in this exact same way, and you think about with Super Saiyan, Imperfect Cell beats him up. Immediately after Cell goes perfect, Vegeta embarrassed again, almost dies. We just go to the Cell games, can't even beat Cell Juniors, which doesn't make any sense about it, but that's it. Can't beat Cell Juniors. Also loses to ends up getting Trunks killed. Not only that, he's felt so bad about Gohan being Cell that he says he's never fight again. Boom. Then we go into the Majin series. He becomes Majin Vegeta. Has the greatest fight of all anime, in my opinion, between him and Goku, the Super Saiyan 2 Goku and Majin Vegeta. Boom, that's a great showcase. Later on, we find out, Goku was actually holding back Kid on Super Saiyan 3. Then Goku fights Kid Buu, and Vegeta admits, like, he's the best. It's like, at what point is this character who's build as like these second lead in the show get a moment to where like people can actually take it more serious, because I don't feel like that's happened. Goku's the one who fights Beerus. Goku's the person who beats Hit after Vegeta loses to him. Goku's the person who beats, well, Goku not technically doesn't get any of these dubs, and so that's gonna bring me to like another point in the series, especially Dragon Ball Super as a whole. But just like I said, continuing on, he has the moment against Goku Black. That was great. But those two, they fuse, and then there's no helping that situation. It's like every single time he has a moment, immediately after it's shot right back down. Tournament of Power, same way. He has a good moment against Topo. Then we have this whole montage of him telling Kyra how he's going to be the person to bring her back. And then he gets knocked out by Jiren. Like, embarrassingly, by the way. So it's every single time. So I think at this point, I think Toriyama just has to pull the trigger on it. Because if you don't, it ends up hurting the character. Because if you see somebody do something so much, you just... It's going to become one too many times where people are going to be like, well, and I think it's already happened for a lot of people. You see the character do something, and then at some point you just kind of like, well, what's the point? He trying, but he just keeps losing. So I cannot really take this guy serious. I don't really think this guy is a serious threat to any of the main antagonists. And that, which also brings me to like something else, and like I think in Super in general, which it might have been my issue, is that I think that's actually for another video. Nope, that's actually for another video. So, but I just think like at this juncture in time, if you don't do something with the character of Vegeta, it's just going to further hurt the character, and which is going to be a point of it's going to get into Dragon Ball GT territory where it's like, oh, it's Goku time every time. Like you have to develop these other characters, and granted, all the other characters don't seem to not be getting that much, praise as or it's like development as they should, which is definitely, I think, going to be like a hurt on the series, because I think other shows did that. I think Naruto actually did that. It was like Naruto had one of the best group of like core characters. You know what I'm saying? With like all the like Lee, Neji, everybody, Shikamaru, and then a lot of those characters kind of end up getting like left behind and like don't get developed anymore, to the point where everybody stopped paying attention to them, and whenever something happened with them, it's taken to a lesser degree, and like nobody really pays attention. So I don't think that should happen with the second biggest, star in the show. I think it's at some point you have to give him that moment, and even if it's just, granted, Moro is the main guy for this current arc, so I think that right now is the perfect time to pull the trigger. You guys let me know what you thought about that down in the comments. Hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch up with you guys later. Stay safe.